Good morning and welcome. And I see one person with their legs up in the air. Hi, that's Martha. Good morning, everybody at home that decided I'd rather practice in my PJs. You rock too. So today's focus is about how we can use yoga as a tool, basically to energize, but also to calm. You know, yoga, any kind of exercise, not any kind of exercise, because some exercises are stressful, let's face it. But all of them produce endorphins. But a practice like yoga can release things like oxytocin, which is, known as the hugging hormone. So it's something that babies get when they nurse. And we are very hormonal beings, and if our hormones are out of whack, it can affect all kinds of things. The other thing, of course, yoga lowers blood pressure. But it's its impact not only on the joints, muscles, ligaments, and tendons, which I often speak about, but today it's really more about the internal medicine that yoga provides. So lowering the blood pressure, calming the central nervous system so that we can activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And to that end, we're going to begin on all fours this morning. And it's going to be, we're going to start with child's pose, but we're going to do it in motion as opposed to just holding on. Now, interestingly, Balasana, child's pose, it has a lot more going on than what we would normally think it has, because it's really like stretching the spine, it's opening up the shoulders and the chest. So basically, what I want you to do is come onto your knees and then place your hands a little further forward so that inhaling, so place your hands forward, make sure you're pressing your finger mounts and your fingers into the ground. On an inhale, round your spine, and on an exhale, take your hips back towards your heels. And feel that stretch through the shoulders, your spine. And then inhale, round your spine as you come up, and then keep going forward and lengthen through your neck. So now you're lengthening the spine in the other direction. This is increasing blood flow. And exhale, round your spine just slightly here as you slowly return your hips to your heels. Inhale, come on up. So you're not moving your hands are way ahead of your shoulders. You're lengthening, bringing your heart, your chest forward, and then exhale, slowly returning your hips to your heels. Stretching through the shoulders, lengthening the spine, and quieting your mind. Inhale, come on up, rounding the back just a little bit because we're gently awakening the spine here. And then you're observing a little bit of lowering through the lower back, so creating that little bit of an arc as you reach the heart forward. Exhale, taking your hips down to your heels, keeping your hands glued to your mat. Inhale, one more time. Lifting the shoulders, rounding the back just a little bit, and then as you proceed past your hands, so obviously you're putting some strength and pressure onto your wrists. And last time, round your back as you slowly bring your hips down towards your heels. Now remember, mobilizing the hips can release a lot of stuck and stored emotions. Inhale, coming back up. Now let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders, and we're going to sweep the left arm up, reaching up, stretching up, looking up. Exhale, feed that arm, thread the needle, reach through, Stretching out to the side with your left arm and then lowering your shoulder and the side of your face onto your mat. And then tippy-toe the fingers of the right hand, reaching, stretching right out in front towards the top of your mat. And let go here. So now we're continuing to warm up the spine, starting to build the energy, but slowly and carefully and mindfully. So this was something I mentioned in the note that I sent out last night, was that when we become more mindful, we can notice if our nerves are becoming frayed, if we're becoming upset, fearful, worried. We need to notice these things so that we can draw the hand back and back into all fours, so that we can make a choice to support ourselves with our health and say, hey, I can feel, now lift your right arm up, reaching up, stretching up, exhale, thread the needle on the other side, so that now we can say, okay, I don't know what's going on right now, but I'm not feeling very calm. Tippy-toe the fingers of the left hand out. So the first thing I can do is just notice and not build a story around it. Just notice how I'm feeling. And before I do or say anything, check in with my breathing. Because sometimes we're just holding our breath. And that builds pressure. We're breathing in, we have to breathe. But think of yourself like a balloon. If you're only breathing in and never letting any air out, we explode, we break. So make sure you're lengthening your exhalations to release, to let go, and then from that place of calm, then maybe we can have words, communicate something to somebody in a loving, caring, courageous, and respectful manner. And then draw that arm in front and press back onto all fours, and then curl your toes under and lift your hips up, coming into, oh, no, we're not there yet. Hang on a second. We are going to tuck our toes under. So sorry, guys. Tuck your toes under. So this is major wake up, right? So lift your heads, tuck your toes under, sit back on your heels. If you can, if that's too intense, come on up onto your knees. Now, just to try and distract you for a moment from that, but you can go back and down. Take your arms out to the side, reach them around to the back, taking hold of your shoulder blades, and then release and bring your arms into eagle pose, if that's possible. If that doesn't work, then bring your palms on either side. Come on up onto your knees, release your arms. Notice which arm is on the bottom. Open the arms and switch it up. Put the other arm on the bottom. If you grab your shoulder blades, you're already in that position to attempt eagle arms. So it's going to be different from one side to the other. Don't force anything. Give your toes another little stretch. Oh boy. That wakes us up, huh? Okay, come on up. Flatten the tops of your feet. Release your arms down. Remember, if you find you need more cushioning under your knees, you can fold your mat under or grab something and put under. So we're going to stay on our knees. And remember, the tops of your feet are now flat. Take your arms out to shoulder height. And on an inhale, reach and stretch. On an exhale, I'll try and do the mirror. Take your right arm behind you, your left arm in front. Now make sure that your right hip stays forward, because it wants to turn. Keep it forward, keep it forward. You can turn your head to the side, but keep that right hip forward. Inhale, stretch, exhale, come back to center. Inhale, stretch, exhale, other side. So now you want to keep your left hip forward. Don't go too far. You may not be able to get it right front and back. Inhaling, come back to center. Exhale, other side. So the arm that's back represents the hip that you want to keep pushing forward because it wants to go back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, backwards. And come back to center. And now I believe we're gonna, right. Tuck the toes under. Place your hands flat on the floor. Lift your hips up and just walk your dog. So bend one leg. Feel the stretch in the back of the straight leg. Heel does not need to be on the floor, but you can feel the stretch through your calf muscles, your Achilles tendon, the back of your knee, and some of your plantar fascia. And change. One knee bent, one leg straight. Breathe. Align your ears with your inner arms. And one more time, changing. And change once again. Lovely. Come back to neutral. Keep your knees slightly bent. Walk your hands back towards your feet. And just let your head hang. Keep your knees soft. Let your chest rest. Now, inversions, when your head is lower than your heart, extra blood supply nourishes everything in the head and the face. And what does that do for us? Well, that nourishment can sharpen our focus, our mental capacities. And let's slowly roll up to standing, keeping your chin tucked into your chest, letting your arms hang like a Raggedy Ann or Andy doll. And the last thing to come up will be your head. Okay. Anybody feeling any drugs flowing around? I love that I have a pharmacy, that we all have pharmacies in our heads. Okay, so now Tadasana. We do it often, but what I want us to do is an active Tadasana. To that end, we're going to place our soles of our feet as we would in Tadasana. So the outsides of your feet are parallel with the outsides of your mat, and your feet are relatively close together, about 1 fist width apart. Is it getting warm in here? Or just getting air? Let me know, because I'll turn the rads down. I don't even know which ones are working, but are we good? Yeah. Okay. All righty. So inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Now interlock your fingers and turn your palms up towards the sky. Okay, here's where we're going to try and focus. We're going to try to come up. Inhale up onto the balls of the feet. Holding the breath if you can. Focus. Exhale, sweep the arms down. Inhale, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up. Come on up onto the balls of the feet. On an inhale, try to hold breath. Exhale, float the arms down. Inhale, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up. Come on up onto the balls of the feet. Exhale, float the arms down. Let's try this one more time. Inhale, interlock, turn the palms up. And let's inhale, come on up onto the soles of the feet. Feeling like Karen Kane? Exhale. Okay, give the legs a good shake out. All right, Sun Salutations. You only got 10 minutes and you need to like energize yourself or, remove some sluggishness, especially if we've been sitting all day. And please always remember, even when you've got something important to do, best thing you can do is get up and move around. Don't just sit there hour after hour in front of your computer. You'll think better, you'll be refreshed. So coming up to the fronts of your mats for Surya Namaskar, paying homage to a sun which is hiding at this moment. Inhale, in place, exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart, arms up, reach up, look up and arc back. Inhale, bring your feet back together, lift up out of your waist with a flat back, hinge from the tops of your hips, reaching forward, stretching, fingertips touch the floor. Let your head hang. Step your left leg back, drop your knee to the mat, bring your hands onto your front thigh, focus your gaze, lift your back knee off the floor, push through your back heel, shoulders over hips. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Breathing, turn your hands forward, spread your fingers apart, bring them down to your mat. Take the other leg back, draw your heart center forward. Engage your core, press all 10 fingers into the mat, reaching through the crown of your head, pressing through your heels, release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet, take your buttocks way back, and then lower your forearms and elbows and slowly come forward. Stay nice and low until you can release your chest and your chin onto your mats. And then slide everything out behind you. Align your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. Place your forehead on the mat. Point your toes backwards, flattening the tops of your feet. Bring your elbows into your side body and press your forearms down towards your mat. Press your hips and pelvis, roll an invisible alley with your nose to lengthen your neck. On an inhale, lift your head, neck, shoulders, and chest without using your hands. Breathing, one more breath in, lifting, exhale, and lowering. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up, walk your feet a few inches forward, bend your knees, press your belly onto your thighs, press your chest towards your knees, lengthening your spine, pressing all 10 fingers into the mat, and now press your sits bones towards the back wall as you press your heels towards the floor. Feel that stretch in the backs of your legs. Lift your left leg up in the air, look at your left hand, swing that foot as far forward as you can, other leg forward, and let your head hang in Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Arms beside your ears. Engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Pull your bellies in. Inhale, sweep the arms up, feet apart for balance. Reach up, look up, and arc back. Inhale, feet together, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, up and overhead. Hands in prayer. And release. Next round. 1. Inhale, exhale, hands in prayer. 2. Feet apart, reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, stretch up, exhale, forward fold, let your heads hang. Step your right leg back, drop the knee to the mat, bring your shoulders over your hips, place your hands onto your front thigh. Inhale, press through your back heel, this is the anchor, sweep the arms up. Energy in your fingers, feel the energy in your body, you can feel yourself coming to life here. Turn your hands forward, spread the fingers apart, middle finger points forward, other leg comes back, draw your heart center towards your thumbs, pull your navel towards your inner spine, reaching through the crown of your head. Feel strong like a 2x4, developing the ability to endure hardships, known as titiksha. Release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet so your toes are pointing backwards. Keep your hands where they are and slowly take your hips back towards your heels. And with your chest on your thighs, start to come forward, releasing the shoulders And the forearms towards the floor, keeping the bum up in the air. And then release your chest and chin. Powerful for keeping the integrity of your spinal column. Slide everything out behind you. Align your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders and your forehead flat on the floor. Bring your elbows in towards your rib cage and press your forearms down towards the floor. Toes are pointing backwards. Roll an invisible alley with your nose on an inhale, lifting up into baby cobra. And then if you wish, pressing up. All back bends are energizing. So this, of course, is a back bend. Don't let the elbows wing out. Don't let your shoulders rise up to your ears. One more breath in, exhale, lengthen all the way down. So when we practice mindfully, we don't do too much. And we also notice if we're slacking off. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up, walk your feet a few inches forward, press your belly onto your thighs, your chest towards your knees, all 10 fingers into the mat. Align your ears with your inner arms. Press your heels down towards the floor. Feel that stretch in the backs of your legs. And lift your right leg up, look at your right hand, swing that foot as far forward as you can, other foot forward, and let your head hang. Bring your arms beside your ears and galvanize your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Draw your bellies in. Inhale, sweep the arms up, feet apart for balance. Reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up, exhale, hands in prayer. So let's do 2 more rounds and then we will allow the benefits to be absorbed in Shavasana. Inhale, exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart, reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, stretch up, lifting out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold, fingertips to the floor, let your heads hang. Step your left leg back, drop the knee to the mat, and bring your hands onto your front right thigh. Lift that back knee off the floor, sweep your arms up, keep your shoulders directly over your hips. So don't lean the torso forward. Turn your hands forward, spread the fingers apart, take that front leg back, draw your heart center towards your thumbs, reaching through the crown of your head, pressing through your heels, draw your belly button up towards your inner spine. And then release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet, leave your hands stationary, take your hips back towards your heels, release your forearms and elbows, and slowly come forward until your chest and chin are on the mat. Slide everything out behind you, align your fingertips with your shoulders, place your forehead on the mat. Toes are pointing backwards, elbows right hugging into your rib cage, and then press your forearms down to the floor. Notice how this moves your shoulder blades and shoulders away from your ears and down your back. Roll the invisible alley with your nose. Inhale in place. Let's go to baby cobra. So lifting head, neck, and shoulders. Look, Ma, no hands. So they're just there as guidance. One more breath in. Exhale. Come on back down. Inhale, curl the toes under, walk your feet a few inches forward, bend your knees, belly to thighs, chest to knees, align your ears with your inner arms. On an exhale, press your sits bones towards the back wall, lifting some of the weight out of the front of your body, stretching the back of your body. Lift that left leg up in the air, look at your left hand, swing that foot as far forward as you can, other leg forward. And let your heads hang, please. Standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Arms beside your ears. Pull your bellies in. Engage your thighs. Inhale, sweep the arms up, feet apart for balance. Reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. Let your heads hang. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Hands in prayer. Exhale. I'm going to turn the heat down because we are warming up. Okay, last round. 1, inhale, exhale, hands in prayer. 2, feet apart, arcing back. 3, inhale, feet come back towards one another. Exhale, forward fold. 4, right leg back, knee to mat, hands on front thigh. 5, inhale, sweeping up. Turn the hands forward. 6, come on into your push-up plank position. Draw the heart center forward. If anything, I prefer your bum up in the air rather than letting the core of your body sink towards the mat. Feel yourself building strength. Release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet, keep your hands stationary. Slowly take the hips back towards the heels, stretching through the shoulders. And now release forearms and elbows, slowly coming forward until your chest and chin alight on your mat. Slide everything out behind you. Line up the edges of your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. If you wish, you could take your feet further apart. Press the baby toe into the floor, creating space in the sacral area for perhaps a bigger back bend here in Cobra. Move the shoulders away from the ears. Roll an invisible alley with your nose. Press your hips and pelvis into the mat. Slowly, starting in baby, you can stay here or press up into the fuller expression of Bhujangasana. One more breath in. Exhale, lengthen. As you lower, bring your toes back together. Curl your feet, toes under. Lift the hips up. Walk your feet a few inches forward. Bend your knees. Press your belly on your thighs. Align your ears with your inner arms. And now exhale. Press the heels towards the floor as your sits bones move towards the back of the room. And notice how you're taking some of the weight out of the front end of the body, top half of your body, and placing it in the lower half. Lift that right leg up in the air. Look at your right hand. Swing that foot forward, other foot forward. Let your heads hang in standing forward bend. Activate your thighs by lifting on your kneecaps. Pull your bellies in to protect your lower back. Bring your arms beside your ears. Inhale, sweeping up, feet apart for balance. Reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, feet together, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold, head hangs. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweeping up, hands together in prayer. Exhale, and come on down onto your mats, flat out and relaxing. So sometimes exercise can over-energize us to the point where we feel like, okay, I've had enough, I want to lay down. The idea in yoga, of course, in Shavasana now, is to let the body absorb the benefits, feel your heart rate, start to slow down, and the heating will go down in here in a moment, as will the rate of your breath. And when it comes to breathing, it's a very powerful tool. It's called pranayama. It's actually higher on the rung of Ashtanga yoga, not to be confused with the Western definition of Ashtanga, the Eastern definition. Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs. So there are 8 limbs to yoga. Hatha yoga, the physical, is the 3rd limb. Pranayama is the 4th limb. When we start to practice something like meditation, pratyahara, we're withdrawing our senses from external to internal, so that we begin to notice the world inside of us as opposed to the one that's seems to be going crazy on the outside. So, yoga truly is a brilliant tool to help us achieve whatever state we need to truly help us be the best we can be in any given situation, whether it's at work, whether it's play, sports. The difference between the really good golf players is minor when it comes to the physical aspects. They can all drive a ball. I do not play golf, but I just picked that one. Or whether it's a soccer player. The differences lie in their minds, the focus. So to that end, in yoga, we can use now inversion. So this leads me into something called inversions, which reverses the blood flow, but it enhances the brain function. Really helps keep the mind sharp and focused. And although we're not going to do legs up the wall, honestly, putting elevation underneath your sacrum and getting your legs up the wall, if you're completely exhausted, wiped out, or stuck in terms of something you need to figure out, this is a type of inversion. But I would like us now to consider an inversion. Those of you who don't wish to do an inversion, you can just put the block, and if you're at home, you can put your legs up against the wall. But those of us here in class, the option is to place a block under the sacrum if you don't wish to do a full inversion. And remember, you have the option of placing the block at the medium height or the lower height. Those of you who do wish to practice inversion, arms are beside your body, knees are bent. Lift the legs up and over behind your head. Just come into your half shoulder stand. Lower the knees towards the forehead. If that feels comfortable, hopefully you did not eat a big breakfast. That was never a good idea before any activity. And then with your knees bent and your heels close towards your bum, walk your hands a little bit higher. And then let's attempt to straighten the legs. You could also leave the legs over behind the head in plow pose halasana or Chaturanga, shoulder stand, the queen posture of yoga. There are so many benefits, but today our focus is on yoga as a tool. So at this point, we are reversing the blood flow. The blood is full of nutrients and oxygen. So by sending 75% of the blood flow into everything above the heart, and when we talk about hormones, some of your major endocrine glands that produce hormones are all above your heart. The thymus is at the heart level. At the throat level, we have the thyroid and the parathyroids. We have the pineal glands affecting the eyes. We have the pituitary, which is the master endocrine gland affecting all the rest of the endocrine glands, and that's sort of around your third eye. And of course, your thyroid, as I mentioned earlier, it is the master of your metabolism. So let's take the left leg down over behind your head. So your right leg stays up, left leg goes down. Inhale, up, and change. Other leg down over behind your head. And back up. Bent left knee to left side of head, up. And bent right knee to right side of head and back up. Both knees down, one on either side of the head, up, back down, and back up. And then lower both legs halfway over behind your head. Release your hands to the floor and slowly lengthen as you lower your torso back down onto your mat, slowly lowering your legs. Center yourself on your mat, arms beside your body with your palms facing up. Tuck your shoulder blades under your heart. Just tilt your chin slightly towards your chest, but keep a neutral position of the neck so it's neither flat nor arched. Inhaling in place. Exhale, draw the right knee up and interlock the fingers 2 inches below. Pull that knee in towards your chest. And with your left hand on the outside of your right leg, draw it across your body, rolling onto your left hip, extending your right arm out to the right side. So stretching through the hip area, both releases and nourishes. Breathe into it. So in this position, one of the great breathing techniques called Ujjayi breathing, it's like a narrowing of the back of the throat. And from this place, we breathe through the nose, and you hear kind of a hissing sound, or kind of the sound you'd hear in a conch shell. So while we're doing this, perhaps you could practice Ujjayi breathing. It's an energizing breath without cranking us up. It just really distributes a good amount of oxygen throughout the body in a way that is energizing, but still centering and calming. So I'll try and make that sound. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit. And if you're not getting it, please don't fret about it today, but it is kind of a narrowing of the throat. And, you know, when you make that, let's bring this knee back to center and bring the other knee up and extend the right knee, right leg straight down in front. Pull the left knee into your chest, and with your right hand on the outside of your left knee, pull it over to the right side. Extend your left arm out to the side. So if you were trying to clean your eyeglasses sometimes, or the mirror, you go, ah, and you see your breath in the mirror on the glasses. That's kind of like the sound that you get when you practice Ujjayi or victorious breathing. It also has an alkalizing effect on the body. And, you know, there's so many things that I learned from my yoga teacher that he repeated over and over and over and over, but I'm grateful. I never got tired of hearing what I need to hear. Basically, when I tell you Ujjayi breathing can help alkalize your body, if our bodies are 2/3 alkaline, 1/3 acid, then well, I can't prove it, but he's a very studied man. He says you cannot get cancer, you can't get arthritis. These are 2 major health challenges, diseases, lack of ease in the body today. Let's face it, if all of us could skip cancer or avoid, you know, arthritis, we'd do that, right? So diet matters. Vegetables, fruits, all are alkalizing. The blood meats, alcohol, sugar, processed foods, they're very acid. That's not that we don't want any acid in our system. We need some, but 2/3 alkaline, 1/3 acid, and closer to health. Let's bring that knee back into the body and then draw the other knee up, and one hand on each knee, just rocking from side to side, bringing those happy hormones into your lower back. Bring your hands underneath the backs of your thighs, and you can either rock up to a seated position or roll over onto your side, and then come on over onto your bellies. So Hopefully you're feeling somewhere in the center of where you would want to be with your energy. You're neither feeling lethargic and you're not feeling hyper. But one of the great poses is Cobra or bow pose. Now, bow is very dynamic. I'm not expecting that everybody will want to do the bow pose, but if you are, you're going to take your knees wide apart and you're going to take hold of your ankles. And then you're going to kick your feet back, which lifts your hips up, your chest off the floor. So another option is just to take your hands wider than your mat and just come up into a cobra pose. So any kind of back bend, very energizing. That's just the other option. And those of you who don't even feel like being on your tummies can try Ustrasana. So there's 3 choices here. With Ustrasana, you're just going to, Camel, you're just going to leave your hands on your hips, and you're going to lean back, and if it feels okay, you're going to take your head back. So point being, back bends, completely energizing. I'm going to go for bow pose. You can try Cobra with your hands wider apart. Of course, the bow pose has multitude of benefits. Knees as wide as your mat or as wide as you like. Take hold of your ankles, your forehead's on the floor, and then you're going to kick your legs back. That pretty much pulls your upper body off the floor. So I won't go into the myriad of other benefits, but all back bends are cardiovascularly demanding. Therefore, the blood is being circulated widely throughout the body. And that should feel energizing, of course. Okay, one more breath, whatever you're doing. And then let's release. And now let's take crocodile pose. Crocodile pose. You're going to fold your forearms just in front of your shoulders and then release your forehead onto your forearms. And this facilitates diaphragmatic breathing. It also releases stress and tension from the shoulders, from your spine. It calms your neurological system. It helps to regulate blood pressure. And it helps with anxiety. So again, yoga, when practiced mindfully, can become off the mat part of the way you live your life. More mindful, more aware, noticing your emotional states, noticing when things are ramping up. I mean, before I came to yoga class this morning, there was all kinds of stuff going on, people knocking on my door. Well, it was my property manager. Okay, fine. And there's some renovations going on in my place. And it's just like, left the house, forgot my rain hat, got to go back, get the rain hat, So, and I noticed this. And yeah, for a moment, I get excited. I notice it. And I'm like, okay, check in with the breath. Alrighty. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself back up, and let's do a couple of seated poses. And how are we doing for our time here? Okay, because I want to read our story today, my story. Okay, so let's bring the feet together, the hands behind, Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees wide apart, a little bit of forwards and backwards. Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. Now, again, a multitude of benefits, but the idea here is to bring some nourishment and openness to the hip area, which I've described as the hips being the junk drawer. They store and stash a lot of emotional baggage. So just by stretching this area, you're bringing some extra blood supply, because these things, the body doesn't function without that blood supply. And of course, as we've been discussing the last couple of weeks, that it takes stretching and motion to squeeze the cartilage that releases the synovial fluid that really keeps everything nice and lubricated. So if we don't move around, the cartilage doesn't release the synovial fluid. We get up, we feel stiff in the morning, or we feel stiff during the day, or we feel sore. That can all be avoided when we use yoga as our tool. So one more breath in, and then lead with your hearts and just fold forward. It's okay to round the back here. So that obviously intensifies the stretch in the inner thigh adductor muscles. One more breath in, and exhale, come on up, bring the knees together, and send the legs straight out in front, and bang out the backs of your knees. Okay, let's place the left foot outside of the right knee, Lord of the Fishes, Matsyasana. Interlock your fingers 2 inches below your kneecap and pull your torso towards that thigh. Feel your sits bones pressing down into the floor. Place your left hand behind you, raise the right arm up, reaching up, stretching up, exhale, turning and twisting, and bring your elbow either outside of the knee or around the knee, whatever's available this morning. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, twist and turn. So the other important aspect of yoga that most of you would know anyway is that the body, for whatever reasons, sometimes lack of movement, sometimes it could be an old injury, it can be emotional stuff. Gunk blocks happen. And if we don't reduce or remove those blocks, then the flow of not just your blood, not just your oxygen, not just fluids, but something called prana. Prana is life force. It's called chi in other languages, but in yoga we call it prana. So it's not enough just for the breath to be moving through the body. Prana is different. It is the very life force. So kind of like an electrical current, you could think of it that way. And we all know what happens when that gets messed up. There are no lights, no power, nothing's going to happen. One more breath in, lifting up through the crown. Exhale, slowly release and counter twist to the other side. And exhale, come back to center, straighten that bent leg, bring the other leg, foot flat on the floor, outside of the knee, flex the foot of the straight leg, interlock your fingers 2 inches below, and pull your torso towards that bent thigh. So feel your sits bones connecting to the floor. Place your right arm behind you. Inhale the left up, reaching up, stretching up. Exhale, twist and turn, bringing the elbow to the outside or around the knee. And then inhale, lengthening your spine. Exhale, twisting, turning. I think it was Joseph Pilates, who founded Pilates, of course, said our health is completely dependent on our spine. Yoga says we're as young as our spine. And clearly, we see people as they age, the spine no longer has its integrity. The muscles have lost their strength, but honestly, I feel very passionately, very strongly that even practicing 1 hour of yoga a week, the type of therapeutic yoga that I offer really can take care of so many things in a proactive manner, but by listening to your body, not doing too much, not doing too little, you will get the benefits of this ancient science. One more breath in. Exhale. Gently turn to the other side. And come back to the center. Okay. Curl the legs under and roll back. Keep your knees soft, coming into a forward standing bend. Inhale, slowly roll up, one vertebra at a time. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. Your head will be the last thing to come up. Coming into the centers of your mats. Extend and widen your stance so that your feet are pointing slightly out to the side. Inhale, sweep the arms up to shoulder height. Exhale, let's turn the body towards the right leg, bringing the left hand down towards the right foot. Other arm straight up into the air. Staying bent over, let's change to the other side. Reaching opposite hand to foot, stretching out through the shoulders and the back. And then bring both hands into the center with your fingers tented underneath your face. Inhale, sweep the right arm up so your spine is nice and long, but we're twisting it, stretching it. Exhale, float that arm down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching up, stretching up, and looking up. Exhale, float it down. Let's lunge over to the right side, bringing your bum close to heel, up and over to the other side, and back into the center. And then come down onto your mats. I want you to get your block, and I want you to take a supported bridge pose, and then I'm going to tell you the story of the farmer and his wife. So we'll just get you set up into this position, and when the story's over, I'll suggest that you take the block out. So supported bridge pose, legs are bent, soles of the feet on the floor. You can either have the block at the lowest height, maybe that's all you need, or maybe you want to start at the medium height. So find that little spot underneath your sacrum. If you're at home, some kind of a firm cushion would work if you don't have a block, with your arms beside your body and your palms facing up. Just sort yourself out so you can be reasonably comfortable. And when the block feels like you've had enough, just remove it and come into your Savasana. So, there once lived a farmer. He lived on a farm with his wife, his son, and one horse that the family had raised from a colt. The family planned to enter the horse in the annual county fair and hoped it would win prizes that could lead to breeding opportunities. This would ensure a nice future income for the farmer and his family. The night before the fair, a violent storm swept over the countryside. When the farmer and his family awoke early the next morning, they found that the fences had been blown down. Their prize stallion was nowhere to be found. The farmer's wife was beside herself with despair. The neighbors came and joined in the wife's grief. "What terrible misfortune has befallen us," cried the wife. Yes, this is most unfortunate," the neighbors agreed. But the farmer said, "Fortunate or unfortunate? I don't know. Let's wait and see." A week passed and the farmer and his family were sitting at the breakfast table. Looking out the kitchen window, they saw a herd of horses galloping toward the farm. It was their faithful stallion leading 5 horses and a little filly behind him. He had found a herd of wild mares, and now he was bringing them home. The farmer's family ran out to open the corral gate for the horses. The farmer's wife was overjoyed and exclaimed, "What a fortunate turn of events. This is unbelievable." The neighbors rushed over, exclaiming, "Oh, how fortunate you are." The farmer just said, "Fortunate or unfortunate? I don't know. Let's wait and see. Over the next weeks, the farmer and his son were busy training the new horses. One day, the son was thrown by one of the wild horses. He suffered a bad fall and broke many bones. The farmer's wife was so upset. Between her sobs, she said, "We never should have let those wild horses in. This is a most unfortunate accident. My poor son." Oh, the neighbors came to commiserate with his wife about her misfortune, and the farmer said, "Fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know. Let's wait and see." Well, 2 days later, the king's soldiers came by the little farm. The king had declared war on an adjacent country, and the soldiers had orders to draft all able-bodied young men into the army. On seeing the farmer's son with both legs and both arms broken, not to mention several ribs fractured and numerous lacerations on his face and head, they left him home and continued on to the next family. Well, the farmer's wife wept with relief, crying, "Wow, how lucky we are. This is most fortunate." The neighbors, most of whom had had sons taken off to war, said, "You are indeed most fortunate." And the farmer said, "Oh, fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know. Let's wait and see." Some months passed. The farmer's son was recovering nicely. He was able to walk, albeit with a cane. A messenger from the king's palace dropped by the farm to inquire about the health of the son. Seeing the son's improved condition, he stated that by order of the king, the son must come at once to the palace to work in the gardens and stables. There was a shortage of workers at the palace due to the war. Well, what could the family do but let their son go? Oh, the wife was bitterly angry and cursed the king for his unfairness. "How unfortunate we surely are. We have lost our only son, and there will be no one to help us with the farm now." The neighbors came by to console the wife, murmuring, "What an unfortunate turn of events." And the farmer just said, "Fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know. Let's wait and see." Well, don't you know that the king had a beautiful daughter, and one day she looked out of her window and saw the handsome new gardener. She fell in love with him and went to her father and said, "Father, I have found the man I wish to marry. Please make it happen." The king, unable to resist a request from his lovely daughter, replied, "Of course, it shall be done." The next day, a messenger was sent from the palace to the farm, bearing a wedding invitation for the farmer and his wife, as well as an invitation for them to come live permanently at the palace. Well, can you imagine the reaction of the farmer's wife? She was ecstatic and could hardly contain her joy. Jumping up and down, she laughed, "This is incredible! How fortunate!" And the neighbors exclaimed, "Indeed, this is very fortunate turn of events." And the farmer, as usual, said, and you know what he said. So, in whatever circumstances we may be placed, we can reflect, it is all right. This was necessary for me. There is some reason, something I can learn and benefit from. And this is why learning to be mindful, learning to slow things down when things ramp up by using your breath, using that oxygen to nourish and enliven in a calm, methodical manner your thinking processes. We can approach all things in life, we hope, with greater equanimity. And as Geshe Michael Roach, a yogi, a Western yogi who spent 3 years in silence, we call it Mauna. After his 3-year silent retreat, he was in Toronto with a book he wrote and lectures. And at that lecture, The only thing I remember hearing was this: if you can do something about it, why worry? If you can't do something about it, why worry? Worry is an action tantamount to sitting in a rocking chair. You're moving, but you're not getting anywhere. Although I would say take the rocking chair over the worrying. Let's inhale the life force, the prana, long, full and deep, letting your belly expand, and deep exhaling. Long, full, deep inhaling, and deep exhaling. Stretch your arms over behind your heads. Reach and stretch, point feet far, flex and point, and drop your arms down by your sides. Inhale, stretch your arms skybound, reach and stretch, point feet far, flex and point, and drop your arms down by your sides. When you're ready, take your time to roll over onto your side, bending your knees, using your top arm to press yourself back up, but only when you're ready. Thank you for coming out to share your practice today. Namaste.